So before the civil rights, there was no federal aid, there was no welfare and food stamp. So I'm sorry if I come from an environment where I have seen that you do not have to rely on government. You can work hard and persevere no matter how long it takes, and that's what I did.
Or we hear someone say, it was a choice made up to me to have my children and not be like the other black people who get to have children out of wedlock. We don't get to have those kind of conversations.
All right, guys, I know that you are aware of, or if you're aware or you're not aware, if you keep up with politics and all that stuff, apparently there's some issues going on with the Somalis. Before, I did a video in regards to the Muslims in Dearborn, Michigan, that were anti-whites, I guess Christian nationalists is what we'll call them for the time being. That there was some dispute during the rally, or a protest rather, and some disputes, some issues and stuff like that. The other issue that seems to be manifesting nowadays is that Minnesota Senator, I want to say Ilhan Omar, she's in a lot of heat right now. She's in a lot of heat right now for her community, the Somali community, and even herself with her immigration status. But this is not what we're talking about. We're not talking about Ilhan Omar at this moment. What we are talking about is a situation in which you have somebody that's a representative from another country that's taken some political office here in America, making claims about the struggles of those that live in America at this time, whether citizen or not, versus somebody who actually grew up American and managed to grow out of their circumstances that she's in. In one of my other videos, my body cam videos, I mentioned about being a product of your environment, and I speak a lot about the black culture. She is one of the individuals in which I'm referring to when I say that people grow and they leave the situations that they're in because it's not where you need to be. So let's go ahead and jump into the video. This is going to be Pastor Latasha Fields, which is interesting enough, but we're not going to get into that. She's going to talk about her struggles and how she got to where she is. And I think Ilhan Omar is going to say something at the end, but we'll see how that goes. I want to put emphasis on Latasha Fields and what she says, because y'all know I talk heavily about the black community. I'm trying to figure out what that really means and who that entails. And when I think about the people of the black community, these are the people that she and her husband are the type of people that I refer to that aren't held down by their situation, by whatever it is that the government has done or America, the white man has done to them in the past. They've managed to come out of it. So let's go ahead and go right into it and see what's up.
My name is Latasha Fields. I am the founder of Christian Home Educator Support System in Chicago, Illinois. I want to thank Chairman Yamath for having me, the ranking member Womack, and members of Congress. It's a blessing to be here today. I have been married to Ronald Fields II for 13 and a half years. We are home educators of 4 wonderful children. I have 2 girls, 22 and 3, and 2 boys, 12 and 9. My husband and I are both born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I spent 33 years there before I...
Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And when we hear her story, it's just going to be like, this is the stuff that I'm talking about. I understand everybody is in difficult situations and their cars are held. They have terrible cars in their hands. But there's a way out. There's a way out. Doesn't seem like it, but we have been blessed and we have been given the opportunity by our predecessors, those in the Civil Rights Act, those that went through slavery, all that stuff, to have the opportunity to do so. And we need to take that and run with it. For some reason, black community, we don't. Let's keep it going.
I came to move to Chicago, Illinois, 7.5 years ago to expand our evangelistic work. We serve as the overseers and pastors of our Report Ministries and Publication in Chicago. I am also the founder of Christian Home Educator, which is a homeschool academy, and Christian Home Support System, which is our support group. These are evangelistic outreach ministries to serve and support the families of the city of Chicago and surrounding communities. We provide assistance, resources about home education, cooperative educational and recreational resources, curriculum and parental rights issues, and much more. Our mission is to empower parents to take back the responsibility of educating their children. I am also the state coordinator of parentalrights.org, a volunteer of Junior Achievement of Chicago, and a member of Cure Clergy Network. I also have over 19 years of entrepreneur experience, with 14 of those years being consecrated in the real estate industry and several certifications in property management and nonprofit housing. I am also a recent graduate of Trinity Christian College in Palo Heights, Illinois, with a bachelor's degree in business administration with a 4.0 GPA. So let me tell you a little bit about my journey, which is nothing short of the grace of God towards me. My grandmother, who raised me, also raised 9 kids of her own, was a homeowner living in a poor black drug-infested community in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. She raised me and my younger sister. My mom was a teenage mom on drugs, in and out of prison. My grandmother was a strong woman, hardworking woman. She showed tough love and had amazing independent work ethics. So I basically grew up in the typical black stigma community surrounding me: the lack of motivation for education, promiscuous behavior, drugs, crime, and some on welfare. In spite of the circumstances that surrounded my childhood, I was one that often fought against the odds. I had a love for education. I never did drugs and I never committed a crime. But however, I did fall into promiscuous behavior, and at the age of 17, I became a teenage mom. This was the turning point of my life. I will never forget the day that I found that I was pregnant. I went into a Planned Parenthood in my neighborhood. I was devastated, I was frightened, and I was scared, because I was one of those kids that excelled in school, was popular in school, played sports, was on the homecoming court. You name it, I was in it. So basically, I kept myself from the normalized behaviors that plagued the black community. So becoming pregnant was embarrassing to me. I didn't want to be like the rest. I had always strived to be better. I didn't want to be like the social norm. I didn't want to be another statistic. I didn't want to be the 72% of moms raising a child single. So while waiting for the results of my pregnancy test, I was crying and I was thinking how I had ruined my life. The nurse came back in the room and she told me that I was 3 weeks pregnant, and she consoled me that I had another choice. I had a choice to abort my baby. In that very moment, my life flashed before my eyes, because I had a big decision to make. Do I get rid of my baby and proceed as normal, as though nothing happened, and go back to my family and friends and continue to live out my life? Or do I live the rest of my life knowing I had killed my baby? Do I keep my baby and face the challenges that lie ahead of me and press past the shame, the regret, and the disappointment? I chose the latter. I chose to do what I will always hear my grandmother say: you make your bed hard, you lie in it. Those words rang loud and clear in my heart and mind. Yes, we did this. No one else is responsible for the choice we made. I must take responsibility for my actions and live with it. Live the best possible life I can, give my child the best possible life I can, finish high school, go to college, and make something of myself. I decided, in spite of my teenage pregnancy, that I would continue to press past the popularized social norms of the black community. I worked hard. I graduated from high school 5 months pregnant. During my teenage years, I worked at Burger King. I was a part of an entrepreneurial program that we had. I worked there throughout my high school years, from 15 till I graduated. But I was a mom, so I had to continue working at Burger King to provide for myself and my baby. I lived with my grandmother for several months after I had her, and she encouraged me to get on food stamps, to receive WIC, and to receive child care assistance. During this time, she also helped me to get my first apartment. After about 9 months of renting, the real estate company asked me, did I want to buy a house? I was shocked. I was excited. I went through the first-time home buyers program, and I purchased a 3-bedroom, 1-bath house at 18 years old. After 2 years of being on food stamps, I found myself increasingly growing to hate the program.
Can't do that nowadays.
I felt awful while I was on the program. It was such a level of disrespect and deprivation. I couldn't take it any longer. I removed myself from the food stamp program. But however, due to me working and going to college, I had to remain on child care assistance. After having my baby in 1996, buying my home in 1997, the same real estate company offered me a job. I became a secretary, later a rental assistant manager, and later in December 2005, I became a licensed real estate agent. However, from 1996 to early 2005, I was a single mom, working hard, working 2 jobs sometimes, going to college and maintaining honors. By November 2004, I gave my life to Christ. Met my husband. We got married October 2005. After becoming a Christian, I became an ordained minister. My faith began to challenge and propel me to work for families and kids and tackle the problems that plague the black communities. I lived it, and I wanted to reverse the plague. I had begun and purposed in my heart that I would become that change and advocate for my family and friends. In 2006, I felt compelled by God to take more responsibility for my daughter's education. I took her out of the public education in the 4th grade, and I wanted to give her a Christian education by homeschooling her. So we did. My husband and I did not know what that would entail, but we obeyed God. Later, in 2007, we opened up a Christian homeschool academy as an extension of our evangelistic work. My husband and I are now homeowners in Chicago, Illinois for the last 3 years. My husband is the owner of his own barbershop in the South Shore community in Chicago for the last 5 years, and we are continuing our ministerial work with our Christian school and our co-op group to support the families in the city of Chicago.
Mr. Fields, if you could wrap it up, your time is considerably over, so
it
you
is.
can wrap it up. You can make a concluding
Oh,
statement.
wrap it up, okay. And one more point, that we graduated our oldest daughter, she's 22, from being homeschooled all the way to 12th grade. We graduated her from our homeschool academy, and now she just walked across the stage from the University of Bridgeport with a degree in nutritional science with a 3.1 GPA from being homeschooled. And that's, I'm hearing everybody testify as well over the same thing, and I'm finding it hard to understand why, when the word is said hard work, why is that interpreted in a different way? I realize all of us sitting here, everyone in this room has worked hard to some extent. But what we're saying is, and I believe you all would agree, that even where you all sit as representative, Congress, and senators, you did not do it by not working hard. And so we just need to understand what that word means. We're saying that you have to persevere, you have to endeavor. And for me, I grew up in the same environments that everyone sitting here is testifying about. Again, my mother was on drugs, in and out of prison. My grandmother did not have federal aid. My grandmother bought a house in 1972 working as a janitor at Louisiana State University. So before the civil rights, there was no federal aid. There was no welfare and food stamp. So I'm sorry if I come from an environment where I have seen that you do not have to rely on government. Right. You can work hard and persevere no matter how long it takes, and that's what I did. I got the food stamps for a couple of years, so I'm not here to say totally dissolve it. People do need help, but what I'm here to say, and especially working in the real estate industry, it doesn't have to be perpetual. Right. You know, you got families that pass Section 8 and welfare down like it's an inheritance. The Bible says we ought to lay up an inheritance for our children's children, and it's not government entitlement.
When you said you homeschooled your kids.
Okay, when I first seen that, I didn't know what was going on with his eye. I thought I didn't know what I would say. I thought he got pushed in the eye, but it looks like it's an eye patch. Okay, so based off of everything that she just said, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about in all my videos. This is exactly what I'm talking about when I get frustrated with the Black communities. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Notice where the start of her life began. It started with who was guiding her. The guidance was from her grandmother, who she acknowledged had great perseverance, was hard on her, probably taught her a lot of discipline, teach her to be a good student. Of course, there's going to be some situations where, you know, kids get a little frisky out in the high school and stuff like that, and things happen. Like I said before in plenty of my other videos, when you are in that environment, things like that are likely to happen. I'm not saying that they won't happen anywhere, because they can happen anywhere, but they're more than likely to happen if it's common in the area. So if anything, that's all that she got into. But because of her grandmother, who was that strong individual, she was able to persevere. She was able to remember the teachings that her grandmother gave her, and then be able to not only take responsibility for the actions that she did, but be able to make something out of it, continue to press forward. Now, again, with the whole government assistance thing, I'm not 100%, I'm not for the government assistance if you just plan on sitting there and just piggybacking off of it for the rest of your life to the point where it's going down to the next generation. This is crazy, guys. We're teaching our kids to just don't worry about nothing. The government got you. We're waiting for our refund check so that we could get a surplus of money. This is what we're doing. We shouldn't be having this type of mindset. We should be pressing forward. Like I said in the beginning of the video, those that have marched, those that have went through slavery, those that have fought for our freedoms and our abilities to be able to do the things that we do now, we should be taking advantage of that and not just sitting here moping and groping that the white man did this, white man did that X amount of years ago, and then becoming capitalists and buying all the stuff from the white man that doesn't get us anywhere. This is exactly what I'm talking about. And based off of her story, she's a prime example of what I mean when I say we need to do better and that the parents need to teach their children to be better. It is important. It is imperative. Her mother was not there. Her mother was struggling on drugs. If she was under her mother, then she probably would have ended up in the exact same situation. But because she was with her grandmother who raised her and disciplined her, she grew and was able to get to a situation where she can do better in life. And now she's in the position that she's in right now, happy, living a Christian lifestyle with her husband. Yes, she got kids out of wedlock, and yes, but she's taking full responsibility as she managed to build her kids up. It's important, guys. We can't just sit here and live in this victimhood mindset. History is history. Yes, the things that happened in the past, yes, they did happen in the past. Are you gonna let that affect your future? Come on, y'all. This is the stuff that I keep talking about. Like, I'm not sitting here trying to sit here being Uncle Tom, well, the white man. You never hear me kiss behinds of the white man. I'm saying we've been given the opportunity to press forward and move forward in life and be able to enjoy the things that the white people, God knows how many countless black people enjoy the things that the white people enjoy. I have plenty of friends that do things just like the white people do, but for some odd reason, it's been taught through social media, through music, and through all this other ridiculous crap that it's the white man that's holding you down and that you just got to stay where it is that you're at. Not only that, the people that you're around that's also thinking the same thing. You know, it's really interesting. It's really interesting because I was literally just received one of my friends of my friend group. He was like, yo, this is probably you. And by you, I mean me. And it was a dude that was saying, it says it takes a village to raise a kid. But what if the village is dumb? And in a lot of situations, that's what we see happening a lot with the black community. We have these communities where not everybody is still stuck in the same ways and they're not trying to progress. Absolutely nobody. So what happens to the next generation? They fall into the same thing. You just need that one person that thinks differently. That's going to encourage somebody to do more, to do better, and to be better, to alter the next generations. But it's tough. Let's keep going. I haven't seen the rest of this. So let's see what we got going on.
I want to understand what values you teach them.
Oh, I definitely teach them personal responsibility. And even to add to that, what you were saying about trade, me and my husband both, even though I have a bachelor's degree, I also have a trade. My husband is a barber. He has a trade.
Okay.
We have lived the life they're saying with the living wages. I bought a house making $4.25 an hour. So we understand living on wages, but the way we got out of poverty is what you're saying, is we got trade. We went and got an education. And me and my husband talk about that all the time. If the government could make trade more accessible, spend those federal dollars so people can sharpen their skills and get out. My husband just bought us a 3-bedroom home, 2 full bath home in Chicago, being a barber with a trade. He has a 10th grade education and he did it with a trade skill. So those are the kind of programs that we should be advocating for our government to sharpen our skills, bring back those trade skills into the black community so that we can rise above poverty. We can't do it with just a high school education all the time. We need trade. We need skills.
That's all right, here we go, Miss Omar. But that's the thing that I keep saying I don't keep saying. That's the thing when it comes to the community. And it's interesting because, again, the more that I'm watching into politics and seeing what, some of these, some of the Democrats and some of the Republicans are doing, there's some that I agree with the Democrats. Well, very few that I agree with the Democrats. And then there's some that I disagree with the Republicans and some that I agree with the Republicans. What I find very interesting is that Senator Sanders of Kansas, she had implemented something before Trump became president in regards to free insurance. They have an insurance program. That's being paid by the taxpayer dollars. They have an insurance program, right? The thing that was happening was that there's a lot of people that was not contributing, that was not doing absolutely anything. It was just free. If you had a specific X amount of dollar that was low, that left you into poverty, or whatever the case was, you didn't work, or whatever the case may be, you were able to get on it, even if you weren't working. So what did they do? She ended up coming up with a bill. I'm assuming that it passed, because now we're doing that with the big beautiful bill or big ugly bill, depending on who you say it to. That was kind of my first impression of what they were doing. Able-bodied workers. You had to be working X amount of hours, or if you couldn't work, you had to be in school, or if you weren't in school, you had to be volunteering. And then not only that, if you're volunteering, they were coming to develop programs for you to be able to find work so that you can work, make your own type of wages, and I don't know, be more than where you're at right now. Why is that an issue? Why is that an issue? If we're going into specifics about being an able-bodied worker, okay, then yes, I would like to know very specifics, because if you're handicapped, what does that mean? Well, clearly, if you're handicapped, you're not an able-bodied worker. If you're literally sitting at home, you have no issues whatsoever that could prevent you from working medical, then you should be able to work. You should be able to find a job, or you should be able to go to school. Financial aid is financial aid is kind of changing for the most part. But this is the stuff that, we should be implementing. People can't just be sitting around doing nothing. And it's getting to the part where the government is having to step in and be like, look, if you think you're going to get all this free crap, you're not. You got to do X, Y, Z in order to get this free crap. So you end up doing it, as opposed to the other side that's just like, oh, you don't want to do nothing? Go ahead. We got services for you so that you can just sit around and do nothing. Guys, we have to work towards something. We have to have some type of weight, because when you have no type of weight, then you think differently and you tend to not care about things that the majority of other people care about. And now you're becoming an outlier and be causing issues, as we can see that's happening nowadays. But alas, let's go ahead and see what Omar has to say, because I don't know. I don't know what she's about to say. Let's go ahead and check it.
I'm a little frustrated because I heard a lot about love. And one thing that I know is it's not because of the lack of love that we're not able to feed our children. It's not because of the lack of love that we are able to house people. It's not the lack of love that we are unable to save people from dying because they don't have health care. It's not because of lack of love that you were able to finish college because you got help with childcare. Love has nothing to do with this. And if you want to bring love into this, you got to bring radical love, because radical love means that we radically love every single person within our communities to make sure that we are providing for them the basic rights as humans.
Radical love. That's interesting that she says that. I don't know in the full definition of radical love. Love is not what people think. Love, a lot of people are under the assumption that love is just, oh, I want the best for you. I want the best for you. I want to give you, what it is. I don't want you to pain. I don't want you to suffer. They think they're under the impression, or that's what their definition of love is. Let's go with that. That is their definition of love. That definition of love is not going to get them anywhere in life. The love that's going to get you somewhere is the person that's going to push you, the person that's going to help you persevere, the person that's going to aid you when you're down, but also be there to encourage you so that you can get back up and continue to move forward without their assistance. That's what love is. You don't see a parent sitting here paying for everything for their kids up until the day that they die, or up until the day that the parent dies. You don't see the dad sitting here coming into the girl's house after she done had a husband and trying to fix everything up in the house. You don't see them having to pay for all the trips, even though they're fully capable of working. What kind of parent does that? What kind of love is that? How do they learn? How do they grow? That's not love. That's just you putting a fulfillment into them because you felt something lacking. But if it comes to really loving somebody, you're not just going to sit here and do absolutely everything for them. You're going to help them grow as an individual because they live outside of you and they have to be able to do things. Imagine if you died early. What were they going to do? What were they going to do? Because you haven't prepped them. You've spoon-fed them their whole lives. That's not love. Discipline is love. Encouragement is love. Helping them move forward is love. Teaching them is love. Progression is love. And I'm not talking about the progressive crap that we're seeing nowadays. This is love. So yes, like Ms. Fields had said, we're not saying that we got to get rid of the government aid programs. We're saying that people shouldn't be dependent on it, as though, like some people say, daddy government. That should not be the case. Things should be temporary aid. They're just to help you right now. And during that time, you need to do everything that you can to get to where you want to be. You got a couple of people that's being upset on TikTok and all that stuff, because they're kind of switching the way the things that you can buy with food stamps and changing the foods, and now it's a whole bunch of nasty food. And now they're, people talking about so now I don't deserve, Doritos or the special meats or whatever the heck. No, you just need the basics. Didn't you just say you just need the basics? You just need something that's gonna get you by. Outside of that, you work for more. Figure it out. There's resources everywhere. There's resources. Use them, just like Miss Fields did. Let's see what else you got to say.
That's what love is. And that's the godly thing to do. So if we want to talk about faith, we also have to remember that we can't pray our problems away. You can't pray for your children to be fed, so you're not crying because they're crying and they can't go to bed. You cannot pray for your medical bills to disappear. You cannot pray for the mold to stop poisoning your children in the classrooms. The other thing that frustrates me is people who have experienced poverty, who have gotten the straps for their bootstraps, who sit and talk about how we shouldn't do anything for the next person. See, as someone who knows severe poverty, I lived in a refugee camp, on the floor, no water, nothing. And I hear somebody say here in the United States, they're fine with their grandparents not having running water? And that's supposed to be okay? Or we hear someone say, it was a choice made up to me to have my children and not be like the other black people who get to have children out of wedlock. We don't get to have those kind of conversations. The conversations we get to have is how we are responsible for fully funding our schools so all of our children have the opportunities we have as we sit in this room. We get to talk about the kind of opportunities we have as government to make sure healthcare is provided to everybody so that we don't have people dying in the United States because they can't afford insulin. The conversation we get to have is making sure that there are no children going to sleep hungry or being shamed in classrooms and in lunchrooms because their families don't have enough money to pay for their lunch. The conversation we get to have about the kind of poverty we have in this country is the kind of poverty that says it is okay for us to take photo pictures with veterans and be okay with the fact that they're sleeping on the streets here in the United States. So as an immigrant, as someone who came to this country, hearing about American exceptionalism and prosperity, I am appalled that we get to sit here and have conversations as Americans about being the most charitable country in the world and not being charitable enough to house our homeless, feed our children, care for our veterans. What is charitable about that?
Wait, what? What? Excuse me? You're the last person that... I might be misunderstanding something.
So I ask you, the kind of systematic barriers that exist in prosperity, that's the conversation we should be having. And so I want you guys to, for the little bit of time that I have, to talk about the systematic barriers that exist in creating prosperity and what it means for us to remove those so that all of us could have the prosperity that is guaranteed within our Constitution.
Shout out to Cure. This is the channel Cure. And this was an old video. This was 6 years ago. That's kind of wild that she would say that. Because, I mean, like I said, I didn't know this was 6 years ago. I just found this out. And, and I'm just baffled right now. Because Ilhan Omar, that's not... You're talking in reference to somebody that, like, you're saying that you come from a different country and you come over here and you see people that are in the streets that need help, that need healthcare, this, that, and the third. Yet you're here as a representative, I think now as a senator, you talk so much trash about America. You live in America, you talk so much trash about America. It's crazy. And then on top of that, like, your focus is on the Somali people who are also immigrants. You're not worrying about the Americans. From what I've been seeing, there's been very little like actual things that's going towards the Americans, the poor people, and all that stuff. So that's just weird that she says that. And on top of that, you're literally saying everything that Miss Fields was talking about. There's programs, there's resources that's out there for people to progress and do better. It's just that they have to do works. Faith without works is dead. That's from our book. Faith without works is dead. So yes, you're correct. We can't just sit here and pray and think that things are going to go away. No, you actually have to do the work and have faith that God is going to allow you to persevere and get out of the situations that you're in. So you kind of proved the point to think that somebody that has absolutely no skin in the games, I can give you something. I'm not going to give you a lot of something because you're choosing to not contribute. That just I don't understand where that makes sense in a lot of these Democrats' minds, where it's like these people have no skin in the game whatsoever, but they're just they're expecting to receive so that they can live just like everybody else. Where? I don't understand. I can give you assistance, but it's just assistance, which means that it shouldn't be too much where you're just living off freely. Then you're just living just straight off of that, because that's what people are doing. They're living straight off of Section A and they're just at home chilling. They're living off of free government aid and stuff like that, and they're not really working. They're not doing anything. Now, is that everybody? No. But there's a lot of people that's finessing the system. So I don't know, guys. I don't know. That's very interesting, but you guys kind of get my point. This is exactly what I'm talking about. I know there's some people that's still going to be upset. Y'all can go, I don't know, y'all can go do something. But like, it's just crazy the world that we live in and the way that people think and the stuff that they're taking in. And like, I don't know, man. I always thought that I had it hard coming into Georgia, then all this stuff, and then growing and being where I'm at now. There are people, as we can clearly see, that's had way less, and they're not even rapper celebrity status, but they've gotten to where they're at from living actual poverty when she was younger. Because Louisiana, there wasn't nothing going on in Louisiana. Everything that she says is everything that I've been talking about every time when people say Black community. That's the things that I think about, because when we're not talking about that part of the Black community, we're talking about those that actually have good jobs, that aren't sitting around sleeping around, maybe some of them, that aren't going into gang activity, that aren't sitting here just doing drugs, that are actually raising their kids, or at least trying to raise their kids. That's a Black community that I want to look at, but they separate themselves from those as in the childhood that she had. So it's like, to me, again, raising the question, what is the Black community? What is the Black community? What is the Black church? Because there seems to be a split, and I just don't know, guys. I don't know. But y'all let me know in the comment section what y'all think. I'm going to catch you on the next one. Take it easy. Peace.